to another episode of It's a Jungle. I'm there. I'm Maria Tabraue, your host. And as you know by now, season 2 is more intimate. We will travel to locations and have guests join me at CWF Miami to share their stories on the fly and real. We're peeling back the layers to tell stories as they happen and show you a lot more of our guests unedited and as it happens. Let's get into it, and we'll meet today's special guest. Our guest today is one of my friends, Christopher Logan. He has a career in photography and for decades shooting some of the world's biggest names, including myself as well. As taking you inside the fashion week and beyond. He's also a DJ and some major credits under his belt as an entrepreneur and as a certified notary. You could say he is a definition of a multi-hyphenate, and I am excited to share his story with you. Tell us about how you came to be the king in your own jungle to date.
Wow, the king of my own jungle. I gotta say, I feel that I really kind of got the keys to my jungle, the keys to the kingdom quite recently, within the past 2 years. I left New York City after living there for 10 years, and I think one thing that's been really important to me that I've kind of shied away from for many years was addressing my mental health. And within the past 2 years, I've seen a therapist that I see weekly. I've seen a psychiatrist, and it's helped me tremendously.
Do you want to give us a little bit more detail on that? Why?
I think for years, I kind of perhaps brushed it aside or didn't address it. I think many people perhaps, you can self-medicate, whatever that may look like. It could be a substance, or perhaps it might be a self-help book. I felt that it was time, and now more than ever, my career, my personal life, and just in general, I feel so much better about myself, just in all facets of my life. And I'm not someone that dwells in woulda, shoulda, coulda, but I do wish maybe I should have perhaps seen someone a bit sooner.
Did you self-medicate yourself, or you?
Perhaps with alcohol. I think I worked in nightlife for many years, and you're around so many opportunities to self-medicate. I do think that now more than ever, I've definitely have pulled myself away from that environment, and it's been very beneficial.
And why were you drinking? What was it taking you there to drink? Was it socially? Was it?
Yeah, I would say more than socially, more than anything. But definitely when I was DJing, I didn't drink. That was you have to be spot on.
Right.
I know for me personally, that wasn't something that when I worked, I wasn't drinking. I know for other artists and DJs, they do that to let loose and stuff.
To relax too.
Yeah, for me, that I needed to be spot on and take it very seriously.
So tell us, what is the core of the problem, or why did you seek a therapist?
I think it was just compounded issues throughout childhood, finances, relationships, just everyday things, really bad anxiety, panic attacks. I think just compounded layers. It was finally.
Those panic attacks were caused by what? There's always a reason why something.
I think most importantly, I think like the panic attacks. A lot of times was just really intense anxiety. Like one of the first times I ever had that was before DJing an event that I knew the venue and I knew the types of people that would probably be attending, but it was my first time ever DJing a large crowd like that. And it was pretty scary,
So the anxiety kind of built.
Yeah, I would say a lot of times when I got booked, DJing before an event, I wouldn't say beforehand I wasn't the life of the party. I would like to kind of sit by myself and not really talk to anybody, to kind of really get in my zone, my own space.
You were introverted.
Yes, totally. Until the moment I stepped on stage, then everything was fine.
Oh, so you were playing you were like an actor.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That happens.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's look at one of your darkest moments and how you came on the other side stronger, more resilient, and powerful.
I got to say, during the height and the beginning of the pandemic, I lived in New York City, and I think South Florida may have had a bit of a different tone, how things were handled and how initially how things were handled. So. One of my darkest times, I would say, is the very beginning of that. You just closed your eyes and all you heard was sirens. It was absolutely terrifying. It was like out of a movie. and it felt very end of the world, and things were shutting down in New York City. No one was shooting photos. I was working in nightlife, producing parties, DJing. It was my bread and butter, and I would say, like, at that moment, combined with my apartment, the lease was ending very soon. It was
So
kind
you
of like,
felt everything was crashing in.
yeah, all at once. And I said, like, okay, this is it. Now what? And I was scared, along with myself and the rest of my colleagues and friends and everyone else. And I was one of the people in New York City that fled. And I think using that word fled, I think, is a real.
And what do you think people fled from New York or
Um,
in California? It was like
yeah,
a ghost town.
yeah. I think it was. I think just seeing what was happening and how things were handled, you felt like you had to, it was dire. It was like feast or famine. If you're going to stay here, you might just perish. So just run for the hills. It sounds very dramatic, but I mean,
So like the end of the world, huh?
yeah. But well, I mean, you would see, tractor trailers full of bodies, outside hospitals and stuff, and it really did feel that way. And what really was that way. I've known several people that passed away from it, and it was very scary. So I mean, I've got to say, it was one of the darkest times of my life, because I was like, okay, your career's over. Now what? And I had my photo studios there, and things were very fruitful. But I decided, I'm not going to renew my lease, and I took a leap of faith. And the season beforehand, the past summer, I bought a trailer, a camper, a 1985 camper, and I decided to live at a campground, an LGBTQIA campground, in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And
Nice.
I lived there for 6 months without a car, and completely reinvented myself, I guess you could say.
Out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it was very dark, but I say at the end, it was one of the most enlightening moments of my life. I became a new person. I learned skills and learned traits and learned about myself again. I felt reborn. And at the end of the day, out of those 6 months that I lived there, I mean, people would see me and they say, your eyes look different. You're standing different. Like, your energy's different. And I do felt like I was a different person. So it was one of the darkest moments of my life, and then one of the absolute happiest as well.
Okay. So what are some of the qualities you discovered during that period of time?
I think there were different qualities. I would say some qualities that I didn't, or qualities I felt I didn't have growing up, like how to do kind of hands-on work. Like, I renovated my camper. I was doing carpentry. I was, tearing carpets up. I was redoing windows. A lot of these kind of skills that I never imagined I would ever do or have the opportunity to, I did. And I was kind of shy to do stuff like that. But where I learned, these techniques from, I like to call one of the best universities is YouTube University. And I learned so many great things and how to, renovate. That's one thing I really kind of took away from it. And also, just kind of finding myself again. I think living in New York City, especially during the pandemic, but compounded life throughout the years with all the noise, all the kind of rat
city
race.
that never sleeps.
Yes, and it never sleeps. But and then coming back into silence, into having your own space with a campfire, seeing the stars, kind of just breathing and kind of reconnecting, resetting. Yeah,
refining yourself.
Totally, unplugging yourself and, letting it just kind of simmer for a bit and then plugging yourself back in. Yep.
Okay. So how did you start in the fashion world and photography?
I would say it's a bit of a nostalgic story more than anything. I remember I was a teenager and I would watch Entertainment Tonight with my mom, with Lisa Gibbons and John Tesh, and they would show South Beach with Johnny Versace and like all the photo shoots and the limelight and all the specialness of that era. And I was like, Mom, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to be a fashion photographer. And my mom used to get Vogue magazine, W magazine.
So she supported you.
Oh yeah, tremendously. I had really supportive parents. It's immensely grateful about that. I mean, I had she would get Vogue magazines. I would have collages behind my bed and all this stuff. And I had a lot of my muses in school, my friends. I mean, I could talk them into doing anything. We had them rolling around in graveyards, like in haunted woods and all this
So
crazy
you would
stuff.
say that's your passion.
Oh yeah, since I
That's
was a kid, yeah, for sure. And it really started there from watching, television, watching that with Elsa Clench on CNN, and just watching the fashion shows in Paris and Milan. I was living in the woods in Virginia, outside Charlottesville, Virginia, and I was so removed from that world at all. But I was able to dive in when I went to art school in Fort Lauderdale. I moved right to South Beach afterwards. I don't even think I was even 21,
wow.
and yeah, it was really it was a
Wasn't it
very
scary?
uh, you know what I would say there's not many times in my life that I've been scared.
Hmm.
Per se, and I think it was a very exciting time. I think South Beach was definitely a different place than it is now. I think it's South Beach in general has had many ups and downs, like many cities,
Yes.
but that was truly a magical time. So I would say more excited than scared for sure. Hmm.
What has been a celebrity highlight you've shot, and what is a lesson you took away from them?
I would say hands down, Darlene Love, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. You may know her from 20 Feet from Stardom,
Yeah.
Oscar-winning movie. I've had the opportunity to work with Darlene several times, and Darlene. The first time I met Darlene was for an editorial for a Japanese magazine called West East,
Mm.
and she absolutely she came to my studio, my photo studio in Bushwick, in New York, and it's kind of like a hipster, kind of like, it was a very edgy around that time.
Mm.
And Darlene drove up from upstate New York with her husband, and we had a freaking blast. And since then, we've worked, I would say, about 3 or 4 times with each other. Sometimes she would come in, we would have like a small catering and stuff, but she would bring chicken, macaroni and cheese, macaroni salad, coleslaw, all this food for us, and would give myself and the rest of her team so much wealth of information, and was so genuine, warm, authentic. And whenever she came to our studio, we knew, all of us on our team knew we were going to be leaving with wisdom, from her.
Wow, that's important.
Yeah. Oh, truly.
Okay. What is a project you have brewing that you're excited for?
Well, I got to say, I have an archive of images from Fashion Week. I would say about 3 years ago, during Art Basel, I had a retrospective, and what we did, we projected a lot of my work throughout the years onto a hotel with a projector into the pool on the sides of the buildings.
Oh wow.
It was really, really special time for me.
So that was
And,
like an artwork, like
oh yeah, it was so cool. And I gotta say, I've been working on, it's a little bit on the hush, but working on a coffee table book with a lot of my work. For years, I've been working with Lomography, a camera company, as their brand ambassador. So during Fashion Week, I would exclusively work with their camera gear. So we've got a great partnership, and we're working on something right now. So stay tuned for that. I'm super excited about
okay,
it.
well, I'm excited myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Get ready.
Definitely. You're gonna sell those coffee tables like on Amazon?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Got a little
Let me
hardbound
know.
book. Yeah, I
Okay.
will.
Okay. Now let's talk being a DJ.
Okay.
You've amazed a following from the connecting people throughout music. Why is music the ultimate connection?
You know what? I think music brings people together of,
I agree.
rich, poor, whatever, color, race, creed, whatever, sex. I mean, music is truly the ultimate connector. I've seen it unite people. Music has brought people together, bringing absolute sheer joys of happiness to them. And music, I think, for myself and for others, is a true escapism. Not more than anything, I think it's an escapism that has many different layers to it, and it's incredible. Like for myself, music it's many things. It's from DJing. I competed as a same-sex ballroom dancer, so dancing to music. My dad was a professional roller skater here in the United States, so my sister and I grew up in a skating rink, so body popping, listening to freestyle music. It's one of my absolute favorite genres, and it just brings me absolute sheer joy.
Well, they say that music, actually, in the psychological industry of therapy, they
Hmm.
say that music, even when you're sad or depressed or your darkest moment, you put music and you go back alive. Even thinking of a music that was meaningful to you for any point in time.
You know what? It's funny. Before any DJ gig, to get my hype on, sometimes, which sounds pretty funny, I would take a bath or a shower, and I like to listen to classical and jazz music. So it wasn't even like the hot songs of the moment or anything like that to get my hype on. I would listen to really tranquil, zen, spa, classical music to really get me in a headspace to kind of clear all the noise out of my head, to really get me centered for a night of really banging music.
Yeah. Wait a minute, talk to me about the ballroom dancing.
You know what? I was with one of my really dear friends, and he said, I wonder if there's any, gay dance classes in New York City. And I was like, gay dance classes? What do you mean? And he's like, maybe like ballroom dancing, or I was like, you mean like voguing ballroom, or like dancing with the stars ballroom dancing? And he's like, any type of dance. So I did some research, and one of my favorite things, my sister and I are not very competitive together, but we love to find cultural events. That's one of my go-to things. I love finding cool stuff to do in the community. So I found gay ballroom dancing, same-sex ballroom dancing. And my friend Felipe and I, we went to the first class, and we had a blast. We had no idea what to expect at all. And Robbie Tristan, who is world-renowned same-sex ballroom dancer and teacher, there's actually a documentary on Netflix about him and his partner. And after the class, he approached me. He said, hey, you should sign up for my classes. You really have something. And here I'm thinking in the back of my head, oh, this guy just wants to sell, dance classes or something like that. And fast forward several months, Robbie and I were competing in Palm Springs. And it was my first time ever competing in same-sex ballroom dancing. And we danced salsa. And we danced samba, and we won first place in both of our classes, which I was absolutely blown away by. It's funny, during that time, it's funny, I like to say sometimes I'm not competitive, but
we all have some.
Yeah, I am kind of competitive, but I had so many great resources and still have in the fashion world. So I asked a really good friend of mine, Carmen Markvaldo, who has been such a great support of mine, and he's known for doing really beautiful gowns. Really fabulous, just beautiful work. And I remember several years ago, he had a little men's collection that he did during Fashion Week that I freaking loved. So I approached Carmen. I told him what was going on. So he did our outfits. He custom made our outfits for Robbie and I to compete in. We didn't tell our friends until we approached the dance floor. We came out and spun out with these blown out outfits. I have goosebumps right now. It was such a magical moment in my life, and it like I get choked up even now talking about it, because it wasn't just ballroom dancing, but it reminded me the feeling of it. And I had a connection with my dad about it, because he competed in skating, and it was a real kind of warm and fuzzy kind of moment. Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever pursue it? Have you pursued it?
Since? No, so what's so funny? We competed, and we still went to classes and stuff like that. Actually, today I saw that on it's called Gay Ballroom at Gay Ballroom on Instagram. He's teaming up with NYC Pride. They're doing gay ballroom dancing on the Hudson, on the pier there. So it's very exciting. So he's still super involved in it. It's funny, here in South Florida, I mean, I would love to get involved in something like that down here,
Maybe you can create
that. Yeah, maybe I can, right? Yeah.
Anything and
totally,
everything
right?
is possible.
Super true. One thing I got to say, just recently in Fort Lauderdale, I live a stone's throw away from Wilton Manors, and there is a saloon there called Scandals, and they have gay line dancing, like country line dancing.
Really?
I went on a Thursday night and just walked in there, just had a little glass of wine, and I didn't realize that they were going to have line dancing. So I watched, and it was freaking incredible. And so I did have that zest of like, you should get back into this again. So I need to kind of like take the bull by the horns. I can't just talk about ballroom dancing. I think we should get over here.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, let's get a little bit. So 1, 2, cha cha cha. Here we go. And 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom, boom.
Oh, wait.
Cha cha. Boom, boom. Cha cha cha. I'm gonna take you in. Come in. And when you spin around, I want you to flip your arm out like that. Okay. Let's try that one more time. 1, 2, cha cha cha. 1, 2, cha cha cha. We're gonna pull you in and spin and do the arm. Here we go. Congratulations.
There we go.
Not too shabby, huh?
Not too shabby, huh?
Ta-da. Great.
Okay. 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 Is there something you want to still achieve?
Ask the question again.
Is there something you want to still achieve and do career-wise on top of everything you have brewing?
You know, since I moved back down here to South Florida, I've started a business, Notary South Florida, and it's been really incredible. It's
How long have you been doing this?
for over 2 years now. It's something that I never imagined in my wildest dreams I would get myself involved in. So that's one kind of career milestone upcoming that I'm currently doing right now.
Is that something you do every day?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really incredible. When I first started working as a notary loan signing agent, that's my full title that I work on, and so it's a niche in the real estate market. And even here in South Florida, it's still booming. People want to move to Florida. It's
Tell us. It takes you an hour to drive from point A to point B.
That's very true.
Before it was like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, I would say from I drove from Fort Lauderdale and it took about an hour and 40 minutes with traffic. So
I can wait for the flying vehicles. I'll be up there somewhere.
oh yeah, they'll be here sooner than later.
Oh my God,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't wait.
Yep. So that's one career kind of milestone that I'm looking forward to. Another one, like I said, like working on the coffee table book, it's really important to me, and also doing a lot more volunteer work personally. I think is something that really it's been a part of my life since I was a little kid.
Volunteer in what?
Just working within the community and whatever that kind of may look like, whether it's the LGBT community. For years, I worked with people with disabilities. That was a real focus of mine for a really long time. And as a kid, I worked with an organization called CAPE, the Children's Alliance for the Protection of the Environment. And I flew around the United States, talking at the White House, the United Nations. I spoke there as well, getting youth involved in environmental organizations from around the world. That's been my passion for a really long time. So I'd like to get involved with more like that with children, education, things of that matter.
Even in the LGBTQ, it's
Mhm.
important
Oh
for
yeah,
children because some of them, they're still inside a closet. Some of
Mhm.
them are afraid to come out
Yeah.
because of what people think, maybe the way they were raised.
Well, I
at
worked
home.
when I lived in New York. I worked with it's called Make the Road New York. It's an organization that focuses on. It's a nonprofit, but they focus a lot on individuals and families that are undocumented here in the United States, and also working with kids that are in the LGBT community, working with therapists if the kids are transitioning, accessing the right education, hormones, doctors, whatever that may look like. So when I lived in Bushwick in Brooklyn, I found out about the organization, started volunteering, and it really took a lot of my life. I reinstilled. They called it Bushwick Pride. It was something they had one or two years and it didn't really kind of set off, but I really initiated it again, and we got all the organization together. People from the community had a parade down the street. It was really, really exciting. It wasn't big by any means, but it was very monumental, I would say.
Yeah, but it was meaning because for everybody that is in that community, they feel like they belong. They feel that
Yeah.
they're being accepted, and it's okay, because back then everything was a little bit more hush hush.
hmm
Everything is it's open. And
Well, one great thing I really loved about Make the Road in New York, they would have a lot of kind of open forums. I like a community hall, and the kids would come from middle school, high school, and would really open up about what was going on with them in school, at home, and they looked towards me and some of the older adults that volunteered there for guidance.
so you were like counseling them,
Yeah,
or
yeah. I
and
mean, I would
helping
say, I
them
mean,
through the
yeah, I would
process.
say counseling them and just being a great support system for them. I mean, I know a couple times I got kind of choked up because they were bringing homework to me and like showing them either good grades or like a story that they wrote and things like that, which I absolutely loved, and really giving positive reinforcement. One of the fondest times I have when I was volunteering with them, I had a gallery opening at Lomography, and it was showing some of my work from Fashion Week. And the kids from Make the Road New York from the LGBT group showed up at the gallery opening, and I had no idea they were going to show up, and came and just came with so much joy and like
supporting
excitement.
you.
Oh yeah, it was funny seeing the kind of tables flipped a little bit.
Right.
So that was a really cool thing
Nice.
for sure.
Good. What is one of your favorite moments of all times, and why does it resonate with you?
Oh wow. I would say I would. It was one of my favorite moments. It was a moment that may have not been a warm moment at the time for my family, but it was one of my favorite moments when my parents split up. I think I was about 18 or 19 years old. I was going to art school in Fort Lauderdale. My family lived in Virginia, and my mom separated from my dad, and she lived with my sister. And my mom was really starting over from nothing, basically. Uh, it was the holidays, and typically my mom's always the first one to wake up during Christmas, get things settled. I don't drink coffee, but she always loves, making coffee and
Yeah, she's into
all
that.
these wonderful things. And it was Christmas Day, and my sister and I were downstairs, so my mom wasn't up, and we thought that was a bit unusual. Um, so she came down, and she came down from the stairs and had her head was sulking a bit. We're like, "What's the matter?" And she said, um, "I couldn't afford to get you guys anything for Christmas," and she was just
Heartbroken, kind of.
absolutely heartbroken. It just tore to shreds, and we're like, "It's fine, we just want to spend time together." But she said, "But I do have this." So she pulled her up around behind her, around her back. She had two 3-ring binders, and it was a picture of her holding a spoon and smiling with an apron, and it said, "I'm not Martha Stewart, but I'm pretty damn close." So it's an amazing cookbook with recipes from my dad's side and my mom's side that have been passed down throughout generations. I basically lived in the kitchen with my mom. Whenever she was cooking, I was there beside her. So this has been a wonderful resource for my sister and I to add recipes
Yeah.
kind of like it
Yeah,
to.
bring it down to family.
Oh, it was actually that was one of my absolute favorite moments ever. I don't know if it was a favorite moment for my mom per se, but for my family to come together. That book has really been a great root system of strength and resilience and rebuilding yourself again. So it doesn't just represent recipes; it just represents growth and starting over and just kind of cocooning. So I thought that to me, that's hands down one of my favorite moments for sure.
You evolved into a business entrepreneur, especially with your business, Notarized South Florida. Talk to us about this new chapter.
This is one of the most exciting chapters. I gotta say, I've had many. I like that. I love that you called it a chapter because that's what I call a lot of things in my life, and I think right now, since I've moved back to South Florida, this chapter has been pretty interesting. And I gotta say, starting my business, Notary South Florida, has been super great. Uh, this is a business that I wasn't even aware of really until the pandemic. I've got two girlfriends that I grew up with. Maria and Erica. And prior to the pandemic, they found out about being a notary loan signing agent. So, like I said, as being a notary loan signing agent, this is a niche market in the real estate agent industry, and we're typically the last person you see at a transaction. So we do the closing, we walk you through the documents, whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing a house. You need a specialized notary with really specialized training to do that. And it can be very fruitful if you work hard. And this is a career that anybody can get into. So there's training online, and it's been really great. And I'm super excited. I have an office that's in North Miami Beach right now, and coming July 1st, we're going to be opening in Wilton Manors, which I'm super excited about to have an
Close to
office there.
home.
Yeah, yeah,
So you go in when you have the closing and you
yeah. So I either go in. We can either meet in any place that the client would like to. So it's either at their home, it would be at my office. We do one great thing about Florida. I'm also a remote online notary, so I do remote closings. So
oh
say that
wow.
you like prefer not to leave the house or just want to not meet with anybody in person. So we're able to do notarizations online, which is very cool.
That's something new. I hadn't heard
Yeah,
about that.
yep, it's
I've
really
seen in person
incredible.
where they go to your house and stuff, but not online.
Yeah, Florida is
Awesome.
actually one of the only states originally that allowed notaries to do notarizations online. So during the
It's
height
evolving.
of the pandemic, I would say there's about 4 or 5 states. Now there's about, I guess maybe 20, 25 states now that it's legal throughout all the United States, but only certain states can have notaries notarize online. So,
Nice.
yep.
Okay. The backbone of your career seems to be based in human connection. Why has that been so important to you?
You know, in regards to the human connection, I gotta say, everybody has a story, and in regards to the human connection, one thing, I worked for years at Rosetta Stone, the language company. I was their photographer, and to be able to educate through my art, through my photography, was one of the absolute greatest gifts ever. To be able to teach people a different language, or learn a new language, or a language that's their native language from what they started from. So to be able to create stories and a connection even today. So like if I'm DJing or on a photo shoot or even at a closing or notarizing something, these are big moments in people's lives, and to have the opportunity to share that,
I can
that
tell you
is
that
pretty.
experience because you shot for different magazines that I've done,
Yes.
and just the vibe and the music gets you. You know, you can be stiff, you can be like kind of nervous, but once you set up the right atmosphere, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can
thank you. I
tell you that for
appreciate that.
experience.
I appreciate that. I think coming into set it could be nerve wracking,
Yes.
and it's funny. When I worked at Rosetta Stone, a lot of times, I would say more than 99% of the time, these are everyday people from the neighborhood that have never had an opportunity to be photographed before.
Right.
So within a couple minutes, you have to have them acting and
Exactly.
portraying something like that. So to be able to create an immediate rapport with someone, holding a camera in front of you and have them kind of acting, that's a lot to ask for somebody. So just to have an immediate rapport with somebody and just making them feel at home the moment they get there makes a shoot so much more easier for them, for myself, for the whole team, and it makes it enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the time goes and you're enjoying. You both are enjoying because it's work for you. It's work because you have to get that person in the right moment
Mm-hmm.
to have those perfect shoots. So you have to be able to have that connection with that person.
Indeed. Oh yeah. And I gotta say, sometimes it doesn't happen. And you have to be able to pivot around that and make it happen at the end of the day. Luckily, knock on wood, that hasn't happened many times, but it has happened. And so just being able, like I said, be able to pivot, and at the end of the day, whatever shoot that is, normally you probably only need about 4 or 5 pictures, really great ones. So, and the great thing is, no one really knows the backstory. They just see the end result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
Okay. What does Pride mean to you, as we are in Pride Month?
Wow. Pride means pride means a lot to me. I think spending so many years in New York City, and being, I just have goosebumps even talking about this. I've seen many facets of the LGBT community, whether that's friends of mine that are currently transitioning, friends of mine that have been homeless and not being able to have resources for housing, not having resources to have hormones, and being very scared.
But why do you say scared? They're afraid of coming out.
No, I'm afraid of not having the medications they need, whether it's PrEP or whether it's HIV medications, or whether it's
But there's public facilities you can go and get treated and
get New York. Well, one great thing about New York, there's wonderful resources, but there's still loopholes. It's still a city like any other city. Some people fall between the cracks sometimes, and just to get back onto that again takes a lot of work. And I think Pride for me is I think it's important to sometimes, which may be a subject a lot of people may not agree with me with, is pulling back so much of, perhaps, the parades and the floats and the fanfare. I love going to that, but at the end of the day, there's there's a lot of laws being passed right now. There's a lot of things into legislation, and think just being on top of what's happening, what's being presented. books being banned. It means a lot of things. But I think being resilient, being educated, most importantly, standing your ground, and it's a time I think to reflect, and also to give thanks to people that have worked so hard, before us, and not kind of taking that for granted, you know. So I think celebrating, the people that have come before us, for Pride, uh, to me, that's something I felt very proud to, celebrate. And I think, on social media, one thing I really love right now, is NBC, is focusing on their LGBT platform on Instagram. They're focusing on, pride figures, or people in the LGBT community from the past to present day, and really showcasing them in such a great way, in a wonderful light, that I think needs to be
Yeah,
celebrated.
I think that people come to realization that this is the new norm. This is,
Hmm.
this is, everybody could be different. It doesn't come from all walks of life. It's like accepting
Yeah.
and realizing that, hey, it's okay.
Hmm.
People can
Indeed.
do whatever they want and feel feel comfortable walking down the street with a partner or by themselves and not being judged.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I've got to say we have a long way to go, and I mean, I've had. It's funny. I've had the pleasure to be able to do that, and hold hands out in public and felt comfortable. And I've been
Right.
in times where I've held hands in public and someone threw a bottle at us, So it's, I think there's a lot of growth, and we're in kind of funny, shaky times right now, and there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of tension, and especially I think, now more than ever for Pride Month, I think it's just being very educated about laws being passed. I think, Maria, I gotta say, the pride parades, the fairs, the events, the concerts are all freaking incredible. But I think at the root, at the end of the day, I think it's imperative for people to remember, the importance of pride, the origins of it, what happened at Stonewall, gay rights. What does that mean? What does Black trans right mean? I mean, I hear that people chant that a lot, especially in New York and larger cities. What does that mean? I was there in New York when here in the United States, gay people could get married. That's something I could, when I was younger, I could never even imagine, and I think a lot of times now there's a lot of noise and excitement, and, I think it's important, at the end of the day, just to remember why and who came before us, and celebrating that,
That you guys have come a long way
Hmm. Oh yeah.
from where.
We've come a long way, but we still have a lot to fight for, especially here in the state of Florida right now. I mean, Equality Florida has, set a red alert for, for gay travelers to not come to Florida, and also there's other organizations that's here in the United States. They're kind of sounding off on, there's a bit of a state of emergency. I would say a state of emergency of what's happening, in the community, and the laws being passed, what laws that are being introduced, the bills, and I think it's imperative. It's great to celebrate, like, hey, it's Pride Month, but once the dust has settled, once the balloons have
Gone,
gone,
and
and
the reality is
everything's been
here, and the
swept
reality
away.
sinks.
Exactly. I think.
You're still facing these challenges.
Oh yeah, for sure. More than ever. Yeah.
What do you want to tell the LGBTQ community that fight for your right? What do you want to tell them?
Um, I gotta say, I mean, there's an organization called It Gets Better. That was an organization, that term, I feel like it does get better. I do feel like it will get worse, perhaps. I'm such an optimist, but I gotta say, for the community, keep fighting. This is just the beginning. I mean, just sitting back and relaxing and settling into the comfort zone of just watching what's going to happen. Well, we'll have a lot of backlash. And I think all the steps that we've moved forward in the community, there'll be a lot of steps taken back for sure. So keep fighting, keep voting, keep going to town halls. Like, keep going to organizations, supporting organizations in your, in your hometown, nationally, internationally, being active on social media, in groups, being active, hearing news throughout the world, what's happening, in your state. It's very important.
Yeah, it's important to stay with updated information.
Hmm.
So,
And
you
with
know,
updated, truthful information,
correct.
that's actually like correct. Yeah.
Okay. How
Yeah.
did you learn or know about ZWF? Tell
I
us a
ac-
little bit about that.
Sure thing. I actually learned about ZWF through my friend Matt Dillon. He started posting videos of Limbani, and I had no idea of anything. I've never even heard about Limbani. And the funny thing is, I reposted what Matt posted, and one of my friends, my dear friend Russ, that lives in North Carolina, lives in New York City, one of my best friends, he said, "Wait a minute, how do you know Limbani? Like, why are you reposting that?" And he said, "I love Limbani. I'm obsessed with him." I had no idea how famous Limbani was and how incredible ZWF was until Matt introduced me. And since then, meeting you, and it's been such an absolute sheer joy, and being able to photograph you and getting to know you
Yeah, the
better.
first photo shoot you did was here,
Yeah.
actually, in the
Yep.
grounds of ZWF.
Actually, yesterday I had a Facebook memory, and it was 2 years ago. The magazine came out, and it popped up on my Facebook memories actually yesterday. Yep.
Palm was the one.
Yep. Yeah.
Actually.
Really incredible, huh? Yeah.
Incredible. So, what was your experience? What was your experience in this place?
It's
Give me a key word actually for ZWF.
serene.
Serene.
Serene. Yeah. I would say driving down here is not from Fort Lauderdale can be stressful for me personally.
Long drive. Yes.
Well, I have it's a long drive, but I have a small Fiat, so for me driving on the highway can be stressful. But the moment I pull in here and go through the gates, it's absolutely, I can just relax. It so
feels
serene.
like if you're like in Africa or the Amazon.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
You're like you transition from Florida to another location.
And I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you a favorite animal?
I gotta say, I did adopt an animal recently.
There
I did
you go.
adopt a puppy.
Became a daddy now.
Yeah. I had a dog for many years that his name is Rivington, and his previous owner actually, unfortunately, he passed away from a drug overdose, and the family was going to give him away out in the streets. And I posted on Facebook I was looking for a scrappy dog, and my friend said, "There's a dog that's in need of a home." I know. So I drove out there, and the dog jumped in my arms, and the rest is history. And I had him for about 10 or 12 years. I didn't think I was ever going to adopt a dog again or adopt an animal again. I was not very well after he passed away, and it just hurt too much. But I had a little longing, a little pinch in my stomach. It was like, you need to adopt a dog. It's time. So I was looking for quite a while, and Doral in Florida.
And when you saw the animal, when you saw the dog, what happened?
It's funny. He's a very small dog. I found out, I did the dog DNA. He's a Chihuahua and half Shih Tzu of all things. They're calling them a Shin Shin. I don't know if they even know if I'm pronouncing that right. So I adopted him, and there was a really sweet abuela that was a volunteer there, and she showed me the dog. We went outside in like a visitation little area, and he was jumping around, and I had to wait a day to adopt him. And I thought to myself, I was like, "Are you ready for this?" And I came the next day, and I tell you, I absolutely love him. He has a full-time job though. It's a lot more than I expected. So I gotta say, my favorite animal, and he's growing to be my best friend, but that's a work in progress.
But that's how it usually is. They tend to be, because they're with you 24/7. You're caring for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I am working on right now. He definitely has separation anxiety. He howls like a coyote when I leave. So that's definitely something that we're working on.
I think. How long has it that you have him now?
Maybe about 4.5, 5 months.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He'll come around.
Yeah, I hope so.
He's still a baby, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he's 9 months old.
Yeah, he has insecurity. What are your top tips for being comfortable in front of a camera?
Top tips, I think number one is being relaxed in front of the camera, taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, relaxing before the photographer even picks up the camera, just to stay really centered. I think, your posture, long, just the shoulders back, chest in, just stomach up, like just really tight like that. I think it's very important because a lot of us, in front of the camera can be kind of a little slouchy
Right.
sometimes. Be proud, get comfortable. And I think just to be able, whether you're smiling on the inside, it really resonates with outside your body.
Taking you out of your comfort zone, so you're.
Oh yeah. Okay. And I think also too, one thing just to stay connected with the photographer.
And the music.
Yeah, the music is the most, to me, that's one of the most important. That's
going to get your body moving. And
yeah.
Feeling,
Yep.
Feeling that.
The vibe. The vibe. Yeah. I got to say, I personally just had a photo shoot recently, and the photographer had really great music, and I felt super comfortable. It was funny being on the opposite side of the camera, but I was really happy with the results. Most importantly, to clean your camera lens. I'm not care what camera you have or what phone you have. Wipe your lens off before you start shooting. You'll be so much more happier with the results.
Awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
So I have something from all of you, for our listeners. What have you taken back, or what have you learned from this actually filming today that we did from this episode? What have you learned or taken back? So feel free to share with us so we can take that into consideration. For me, what I've learned is that having this conversation with you is that if you have to feel comfortable in your own skin, in your own body. So if you're, for people that are in the LGBTQ, don't be afraid, stand your grounds, say what you feel, fight for your rights, because if you don't fight for your rights, nobody will fight for your rights, and it's very important to be able to live in this world and be able to be happy, feel free. Don't be inside a closet, because then the only thing you're going to feel is something is holding you back. And everything in life, you have to face that fear, confront it, to be able to surpass it and be able to feel free. And stand your grounds, like I said. And and once you see, you're gonna see the light, and you're gonna and that's gonna take you to different horizons. And if it's for love, it's for work, for yourself. But don't feel that you have to be behind, because you can be free to show, I am this person. I like a man, I like a woman, I like both. And find that right partner if you want to be alone. But don't let anything stop you, because then you're going to fall into that depression, that anxiety, looking for substance abuse, and then that's going to take you down a path you don't want to be. That's what I feel, and I want to express myself to everyone out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for I love that takeaway. Yeah. I got to say, I know
I'm even talking for my son, because I know that's the issues that he has.
Well, I think so many of us do, and it's something that needs to be addressed. But I knew coming down here, driving down, I knew you were going to ask some hard questions. And today, I kind of really dug deep and kind of let myself out of my shell a bit.
But so I have to really. I think the more you speak about, you talk about whatever your issues is, and you confront those fears, is what's going to, take you wherever you want to.
Thank you for having this platform and giving me the opportunity to do that.
Oh, thank you.
I really think today we're going to really help some people.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
My phone.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Where can our listeners, viewers, find more information on you and follow you on social media?
They can follow me at 3 places on Instagram: at C Logan Studios, at DJ Logan's Run, and for my business at Notarize Florida.
Well, guys, there you have it. If you need a photographer, he's one of the best. I can tell you by experience.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. With my websites, ChristopherLoganStudios.com, DJLogansRun.com, and NotarizeSouthFlorida.com.
There you go. He's a multifaceted guy.
Got it, baby. Yep.
Okay. I want to thank Christopher, who is, as you can see, an absolute king, for joining me and reminding us that we're all kings and queens of our own jungle, and each of us has a story to share. Till next time, I'm Maria Tabraue, and we will see you again soon. Stream this and new episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.